So, I have a theory about what makes a good workshop. And my theory goes like this. The less you say, the more they will learn. My point, of course, is that this is not a lecture. Lectures have audiences. This is a workshop. Workshops have participants. And the more people participate, the more they learn, the better they are. And of course, if people are participating, that means you, the leader, isn't talking. My rule of thumb, toss out a number somewhere, I would estimate that if you give a workshop and you talk less than 50% of the time, your participants will learn more, they will enjoy it more, they will think you are a genius, and they will love you for it. Well, that's my opinion. What I'd like to know is your opinion. Think about the workshops that you've been to. Has everyone here been to a workshop that you liked? You said, oh, wow, I learned something from that. That was good. How many people have been to a workshop where you said, I didn't learn anything from that? What were the differences? What differences did you notice in those things? You said, oh, wow, that's why, a part of the reason why this was good and this was bad. Thoughts? Mary?
Probably they didn't know the audience well enough. They were teaching either above or below people in the audience.
Lisa?
Sometimes I think instructors have like agenda anxiety, like too much PowerPoint going on, too much razzle dazzle, and it's like overwhelming, and also too much clutter. It's like they're not giving it themselves, they're forcing material, which is a different feeling.
And a workshop that you've liked, what's been different about that?
Oh, I do like interaction, and I like when there are pauses, and they say, take a moment and like think about this and write your response, and then we'll discuss. That kind of thing, like listen, pauses, reflection.
Oh.
Yeah, more or less along the same lines. I've been in workshops where there's been an emphasis on PowerPoint and a reliance on reading the PowerPoint slide, if you will. Also workshops where it's very content oriented, kind of lose the audience, they don't establish a rapport at the beginning. I think it's very important, like you said, to really slow down, take your time, so that the audience can kind of get to know you a little bit, feel comfortable with you, and then you can kind of bring them along with your subject a little bit at a time. Rather than racing through it, you get to catch up with it. So I think you're right, absolutely, the less the better. Those have been the best ones I've gone to.
Also, a little bit of humor I like. I mean, not a comedy routine, but enough humor to sort of make it funny and engage. I think it lightens it, and it makes me more eager to listen to, and sort of someone that drones on, sort of a monotone voice, and isn't very exciting or engaging.
And a bad workshop.
A bad workshop?
What have you seen that you just said, God, that's horrible? And why was it horrible?
Well, just a speaker that's not engaged. Someone who's not sort of vibrant. Because workshops are usually longer than the speech, so the person isn't present and they're not like putting a lot of energy into it, and it sort of makes it kind of drab and dull.
Other thoughts? Would you like to cut? You've been to a workshop? A name, I'm sorry.
Doris.
Doris, right. Doris, tell us about a workshop that you really, really enjoyed.
I really enjoyed. Well.
A really bad workshop is when you're reading all the handouts because the person's so focused on his material and he's racing along. You resort to the handout material, you can read at your own speed, you basically ignore the speaker completely.
Trish?
I think when somebody doesn't take into account questions, they're not like, again, like reading just from a PowerPoint presentation.
Well, is that a reasonable description of a lot of what we just said?
Well, sometimes when someone's a really interesting speaker, the topic is great. I'm happy to listen to them for 2 hours. So it's not, especially if I paid a lot of money, I don't want to be hearing some guy from, gabbing away when I came to hear this guy talk. So it depends on the topic, you know, and how well they present.
Mhm. So we're specifically looking at workshop topics as opposed to lectures. You know, when I go to hear a Nobel Prize winner, I want to hear him talk.
Right.
But when I go to a workshop where I'm trying to say, how do I become a better
I see what you're saying.
executive?
Tools, provocative questions.
More interaction. Provocative questions. I love this. This woman is not his shill. I did not pay her to say this. We just had a discussion. We just had a group discussion, a directed, led group discussion. Who led it? You did. Yeah. There was no question about that, right? I was in control the entire time. But how much did I say?
Not much.
Not much. You guys were all doing the talking. You were involved. And of course, when you're talking, you're thinking about it. You're more involved, et cetera, and that's what we want. And that's what you want running a workshop. You want your people involved. You want them talking and discussing and running examples, et cetera. I had a direction for this little discussion. That was my direction. I wanted you to say, yeah, basically that's the idea. There are a few classic challenges with discussions. And the classic challenge is some version of the rat hole. When somebody gets into the conversation, starts going that way with it and doesn't stop. I was acting president for the Tuesday Club about a year ago, and we got to the end of the meeting. I had 2 minutes left. Oh, it's wonderful. We had a great time. Any last minute comments from our guests? Blah. And this older gentleman, a father, one of the guys there from Nepal, who wouldn't talk for table topics, very shy, suddenly became inspired to tell us how wonderful the meeting was. And he told us this for 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes. Somewhere around there, I started trying to, get. When he took a breath, I would say, "Thank you very much, that was really nice," and then he'd start talking again. And this happened like 3 times. At the end, at the next pause point where he had to breathe, I go, "Yes, that was a wonderful point, and we really appreciate it. We'd like to give you a round of applause." And I ended the meeting. It is hard